Hey there, everybody, and welcome back for another season of the collegesoccernews.com podcast. I am your host, Adam Zundel. Thanks so much for being with us. Pleased to be joined today by the head coach of the top-ranked BYU Cougars, Jennifer Rockwood. Coach, thanks so much for taking some time to be with us here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
So let's go ahead and get right to that number one ranking. Tell me and share, if you would, like how you approach that. I know it's a number and it's a ranking, but how have you embraced it, approached it, or kept it at a distance?
Well, obviously, it's a huge honor to be ranked number one. We were actually quite excited. We kind of found it right before we started practice, and we've been fortunate to be ranked pretty high the last several years. So this group of girls have kind of had that ranking. We finished second in the country, but obviously never ranked number one. And I think we talked about at the beginning of the season, we felt like we were going to have a good team. And we talked about, kind of being that target team, especially entering the Big 12 as a new team that's had some success, that we're going to have a target on our back. And that's what we want. We want to be able to play with that pressure. So it's something we've talked about since the beginning of the season. And then, just finding out that we got that ranking, it hasn't hopefully changed too much. We want to be able to be that, we want to get everybody's best. We want to know that people can obviously, when you beat a ranked opponent, it goes well with your strength of schedule and RPI and all of that. So just excited and humbled and honored, and I just want to prove that we're a good team, and keep it as long as we can.
Do you think having a group that is as veteran as you do maybe can handle this a little bit better or differently than perhaps others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely the strength of our team right now is our experience. We've got 10 seniors right now, most of who had really big roles the last two seasons, including our game and run up to the national championship game. So I think any coach loves it when they return maybe five, six, seven starters, but to return all your starters from last year, I think that says a lot for the experience of this group. And yeah, I think that means a lot, being able to manage that pressure.
This is maybe a 30,000-foot view question, but when you have a team that's good and you had lots of teams that have been good and programs that have good, does it affect the way that you approach the regular season in the terms of that you have bigger prizes there towards the end? Does it affect how you kind of maybe view a loss or view a certain non-conference matchup or an important conference matchup?
I think we've tried to be very similar to what we've done the last few years, and that is, I think every coach says take one game at a time, but really trying to break up our season into our exhibition and our preseason kind of camp and preparation. Then you've got your non-conference, but also understanding that, having the girls understand that your non-conference means so much, as far as points towards your RPI, as far as results that the committee is going to look at. So kind of explaining how that all works, and also using that as our preparation for our conference opponents. So we've tried to kind of break things down kind of into different units and different groups, but also recognizing that it's game by game. And so what I've been really proud of this group is, with we get this big win against a UCLA in this incredibly awesome college environment, at home with over 5,000 people, and then being able to just to maintain that level of play, knowing that you're playing kind of your crosstown rivals, a team that probably you're supposed to beat, but knowing that they're also very good. So just being able to manage those emotions from game to game, and then also getting the number one ranking, and now then having to go up and play Utah, again, one of our biggest rivals, against a good Utah team. So I think the girls have really shown their maturity, being able to handle kind of those big emotions of a season, kind of the wins, and obviously we haven't suffered a loss yet, but this team has been very resilient in the last 2 years, these group of players. So if and when that time comes, I think that we'll be able to manage those emotions pretty well.
So you alluded to it a little bit, but let's go back to the run you made a couple of years ago to the national championship game. What did you perhaps learn during that postseason play, or maybe reinforce what you already knew when it comes to the end of the season and what it takes to get through that?
Well, we had quite a journey leading up to that opportunity. Again, we were kind of in a position where we felt like we had a really good team. Um, we returned a lot of players from our COVID season with the loss to Virginia, and had a lot of those seniors, like a Kayla Coulihan, one of the top players in the country at that time. We had those seniors getting that extra bonus year. So we knew it was going to be a journey, and we had some struggles along the way. We lost some games we shouldn't have lost. We had some ties that we didn't feel we shouldn't have got. Um, and even up into towards the selection, just wondering if, hey, are we even going to make the NCAA tournament based on some of those ups and downs? And so, I think that, using that as a learning curve, that you've been resilient, you've had to go through those ups and downs, and the season's a journey, and it never seems to go the way you expect it to go. And can you kind of maneuver through those emotional ups and downs and injuries throughout the season, and put it together when it counts the most? And then as we got into our draw, um, again, just trying to make it one game at a time, not even thinking about what's going to happen next. Um, and so again, that's just something we've tried to do now as we get into conference play. We have a big game against TCU. We haven't played since they knocked us out of the tournament a few years ago. Um, and there's a lot riding on this game. It's our first Big 12 game against a really good TCU team who plays a lot of possession soccer, as we try and do. So I think sold out. Um, but I think some of those lessons that they learned over the course of those last 2 years and playing in those big games where lots is riding on it. I think we've worked a lot on our mental strength game, and just being ready to live in the moment and appreciate the opportunity we have ahead of us.
Well, you beat me to the punch on a couple of TCU things, but the one thing that I noticed I was super interested in is that you've been through a few conference affiliation changes during your time at BYU. So you've got a little bit of, is there anything that is beneficial having gone through this a few times, or is it just kind of this is the schedule, this is what we do?
I think having been through it, you don't get too up and too excited and too high moving into something. This is obviously a huge move for our university and our athletic program, especially for football and basketball, going into a P5 conference. I think, but for soccer, we haven't really talked a whole lot about it, other than we know that it's really good and we're excited. But I think it's just trying to keep those emotions, kind of right there, and preparation. So yeah, we started in the WAC, then we went into the Mountain West. When we went into the WCC, there was recent Final Four runs and national championships with Portland and Santa Clara. So that was kind of a big kind of eye opener. Wow, can we compete at this next level? I think that WCC has done a tremendous job of helping us prepare for moving into a P5 because it's such a great conference. We got a lot of great national exposure playing Santa Clara, playing a Pepperdine, playing a Portland, and really having to rise to the occasion. And so I think the expectation is, hey, we're playing very competitive teams, just like the WCC. They're just different teams, different locations. There'll be a learning curve for sure, and we think maybe top to bottom, the Big 12 is going to be stronger than WCC, but we don't know because we know a lot of those WCC teams didn't get the national exposure that maybe they earned and deserved because they were such great teams. So we feel like we've been prepared through this journey, through all of these conferences going into the P5 Big 12, and just really looking forward to see what it's all about.
Well, you won't get any landscapes like Pepperdine, I don't think. So
Yeah.
that's that's one thing I think you can know about the conference change. What did it mean to you to be ranked number one in the preseason in the Big 12 coming in? I mean, and getting that sort of respect from your peers who hadn't been your peers.
Right. Just again, a huge honor just to go into such a great group of coaches who have tons of experience. But yeah, it was definitely an honor to know that people kind of have followed our journey the last few years, and maybe recognizing that we do have a really great group returning. I think maybe if you hadn't paid attention, you wouldn't know where we were. So it shows that those coaches are paid attention to what we've done in the past, and kind of maybe what they're up against. But yeah, we took it as an honor, and obviously want to be the best um, program we can be to represent the Big 12 now. Really excited for the new teams that we're going to play, the new places we're going to travel, the new facilities. I mean, tremendous facilities and programs and experienced coaches in this new conference, and we want to help now carry the mantle of the Big 12 and represent and nationally as well as we can. So we take pride in the ranking right now because we're representing the Big 12 and looking forward to going into conference.
What is the vibe and level of excitement around campus, around the program for this Big 12 opener here coming
Yeah,
up?
I think it's really huge. I mean, BYU has really kind of celebrated our new entry into this conference because like I said, it's such a huge step for us as an athletic department in football and in men's basketball and in so many of the other sports. But there has been a huge vibe and excitement here in Provo. We're fortunate that we get tremendous fan base and support in our soccer program. And so I know all the seats are basically sold out. I think we'll have standing room only, similar to the UCLA team coming in, and that's just such a fun environment to play in, both for our athletes and I know TCU is going to enjoy it. I know UCLA wasn't actually, they weren't happy about the result, but comments after the game is they love this experience playing in this environment. I think anybody would love to play in front of that many fans. So we hope that we have a great environment for TCU and hope it'll be a great match.
What about mentioning that UCLA match? What again, it's kind of two sides of the same coins. What did you learn about your team, or what got reinforced in that victory?
I think one thing we learned is that this group is ready to perform at a national level. Um, sometimes you as a team and a coach, you feel that, but then you haven't been put in that position. But now with that pressure, with the cameras on and the lights on and everything on the line, our girls showed up. We got off to a fantastic start right off the bat against obviously a very talented UCLA team that we respect very, very much. And so I think that's one thing we learned is that we were ready for that battle, ready to be our best and not fold under the pressure. I think the other unique thing that we found out that we kind of knew, but we hadn't really quite been proven yet, was the strength of our bench. That's something we thought we might have had a little bit last year, but didn't have it as much as we had hoped. But this year, that's what we really found out. When you have three girls score goals coming off the bench against a team like UCLA, it shows the confidence that we have in our players, the confidence they have. And I think that's going to be a huge asset for us throughout conference is the depth of our team. We play a very high energy style. We love to attack, and we're a very high pressing team, and we will press for the full 90. And so we have to rely on our bench and the ability for them to come in and keep the same level of play or even bring it up. And that's what we've learned so far this year is our bench is very good. And from that game particularly, to have three girls score, it was very exciting.
You have been one step ahead of me on every single question here today because the next one was going to be about, I mean, every team would love to have had what, 6 players with at least 3 goals through 7 games right now. Do you see that? And you maybe have alluded to it. Do you see that leveling off a little bit as conference play goes, or do you see that sort of balance continue, at this, maybe not at this rate, but similar?
We would hope that it would be similar. I feel like we've played a very competitive non-conference schedule. St. Louis came in as a team last year that was 20-1 and a top 10 RPI. UCLA, Long Beach, Fullerton, Utah. I feel like we've prepared ourselves well. So we would want to keep going at the rate that we're going and maybe improve that. The thing that's been exciting about this team is we've played well. We've scored lots of goals, which we couldn't do last year. I think last year we were the top team of the country in creating opportunities, but we could not finish. And it led to 7 ties, which is not something that we're used to. This year we're creating the same amount of opportunities, but we're finishing them. So we hope to stay at that same rate. I know this team can get better, and we've played against good teams. We've had great results. There's still lots of improvements that we can make on both our defensive mentality as well as our attack and our finishing. So, our goal is to continue to score goals, to come after teams, make them uncomfortable. It's a lot to ask to average 3 or 4 goals a game, but that's what we hope to do. That's what we'll need to do to be successful in the conference. But I think our bench is going to get better and more confident too. So hope to keep going on the same route.
In what ways do teams that you've seen try to test you defensively, and what are some answers to some of those questions that you have?
Yeah, I think we've played a few teams that play direct. Um, UCLA was even actually more direct than they've been in years past. St. Louis is very direct. Um, that's for a team that tries to keep the ball, and the team that plays out of the back. Sometimes being direct against playing an opponent that does that is a bit unsettling. Um, I think our players have learned to make those adjustments and settle the ball down and not get too frazzled by some of the balls that are just kind of kicked around where teams are trying to play balls in behind our back line. I think our back line maturity, I've got four seniors and a sophomore who started every game for us last year. So I think they've learned to make those adjustments and can read the game. And so we're not getting too many balls played in behind us, which is, kind of what teams are trying to do when they go direct. Um, so yeah, I think we've seen a lot of different styles. We've seen some different formations. I think the one thing that has been really impressive about this group is they've been able to find the space. Every team's going to give you different space between the lines. This team has been able to adapt to find that space and to get the ball there a bit more. Um, and with trying to play possession, that's what you need. You need to find the space that your opponents are giving you and get the ball. And we try and turn and go forward as often as we can. So we're trying to play out of the back, but get it into the attacking third as quickly as we can, and using different space for that. Some teams have pressed us, and some teams have sat back. So we've also kind of had that experience, because that's a whole different mindset when someone just drops completely off you. Sometimes that slowed our rhythm down, but we've been working on staying consistent in our possession. No, whether a team is pressing or has a low block against us. So I feel like we've seen a lot of different things that I think will definitely prepare us. Not having played recently any of the Big 12 teams, will, like I said, there'll be a learning curve. And a lot of teams we've seen over the past couple of years have changed their style based on playing against us. So sometimes our scouting reports are off because we're not quite sure what our opponents are going to do. But again, I think because of the experience and leadership that's on the field, those girls are able to adapt within the game itself.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for you. You're terrific. Thanks so much for taking all of my questions or giving me great segues into them. I appreciate it. Great looking office, by the way. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Thanks for taking some time. Best of luck, not just against TCU, but the rest of the season. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.